Hello you guys. I had to move to a completely different section of my room because the lighting in the room is... Happy Thursday. So today is Thursday, like when I'm filming, but today I'm going to explain to you how I have been teaching persuasive opinion writing. I love teaching writing. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bree. I teach 5th grade. It's my 2nd year teaching. My favorite subject is probably writing. If you'd like to follow me on my journey through teaching, I give teacher tips, I give teacher lessons. I talk about my life as a teacher. I sprinkle in some beauty. I sprinkle in a little bit about me. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and hit subscribe. Anyways, let's jump into it. So I actually revamped it a little bit. I did this with my 3rd graders and I found it to be so challenging, opinion writing, but for some reason going into it this year in 5th grade, I'm like, oh, I'm a little nervous to teach opinion writing, but I'm finding it to be so much easier than narrative. So that's good. Real quick shout out, I got this shirt from my friend, my 2nd grade life. Her name is Vanessa. I will link her down below. All right, let's get into it and let's boogie on up with the video. Yay! I literally had to put a huge thing of poster over my window so I could do this. Improvision. Let me talk to you about writing. We have done 2 persuasive writings and let me show you what we have done. I have a focus wall, a writing focus wall, and it's probably one of my favorite things. I just love teaching writing. I don't know what it is, but I love it. And I'm gonna show you what I have displayed. I'm gonna take you every step of the way, and it probably takes my class 2 weeks to complete a writing. And that's just because of how our scheduling works at my new district, my new site. It's just because we have Tuesdays are minimum days, so we don't do writing on that day. And we don't do writing on Fridays because during our writing time for Friday, it's unfinished work time. So we do writing 3 days each week, which I'm happy with. So it takes 2 weeks per writing, which works for me because I like to do a focus, an ELA. We focus on a story for 2 weeks with the same skill, yada yada. Okay. All right, so let me show you what I do each day. So here is my beautiful writing focus wall. Sorry for the sun. It's literally just blinding everything, but that's fine. Here's my writing focus wall. We are working on persuasive writings. Here's the foldable. I will get into it. I like to keep a list of what narratives we wrote and what persuasive essays we have written. So let me take you on a journey to what we do for writing. So I introduce the prompt. Now I wrote this. I want it to be very simple because this is our first opinion writing. It's a very simple prompt. It's to the point and it's telling my 5th graders their viewpoint. It says write a persuasive essay about how a turkey would not make a good pet. So their mindset is they are trying to persuade me, the reader, how a turkey would not make a good pet. Now I will say prior to this, I think it's really helping that we discussed author's purpose before doing opinion writing. And I think that's gonna help when we do informative writing. That helps because persuasive, if the author, the writer is trying to persuade you to do something, they're trying to make you think a certain way. So that helped genuinely, like that really helped a lot. So this is what I used for my source number 1. What we do is for day 1, takes about 40 minutes. We read through the prompts. I'm gonna explain to you what I do to teach this. So what I tell students is go ahead and make a circle map. I hand them out a blank piece of paper. They draw a circle map and in the middle of the circle map, they write Turkey Facts Source 1. That's the title, Turkey Facts, and I forgot to write source 1, but on the other side is source 2. This was kind of last minute, but it's okay, it worked. So what we do is we read through the text. We number our paragraphs. So what I do is I pull sticks and I say, when I pull your stick, I need you to read me the first 3 words of the paragraph. Pull a stick, paragraph 1. Pull a stick, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 paragraphs. What we do is we read through the paragraph. I read it clean. Students read it to themselves for about a minute. It's not very long. And then I remind them we are looking for turkey facts. We're looking for facts about turkeys, information about turkeys. So what I do is I read the sentence. Do you like delicious turkey for Thanksgiving? I pull a stick and I say, student, is that something we could write in our circle map? Is that information telling us about turkeys? Is that a good idea to write that in a circle map? They tell me yes or no. For that example, it was no, so we moved on. As we go through, we are underlining important information about turkeys, And the thing is with opinion writing, as I say, part of their grade is they must label where they got their information from. They must cite where they got their information from. So for example, paragraph 1, we found they're famous birds and they're consumed almost as much as chickens. We labeled that in paragraph 1, we have it underlined. Typically what I do is paragraph 1, I do. Paragraph 2, 3, we do together. Paragraph 4, we do with partner. Paragraph 5, they are doing on their own. Now what I tell them for paragraph 5, that's why none of this is marked on mine, because they did this on their own, and this is what I'm assessing them on. I'm assessing them on if they can pull a detail from paragraph 5, write it into their circle map that pertains to the topic, and to see if they can cite their information. So we do that for day 1. We do source 2 for day 2. And when they turn in their circle map, they are to circle their own detail in red, so it's easy for me to grade. If they don't circle their own detail in red, I take points off. But they all got this. You know, in the beginning, they're not used to the routine, but they have to circle it in red because that shows me what they did on their own. So day 1 is source 1. Day 2 is source 2. I like to do one giant circle map that students copy off of, and that's why sections are blank. Sections are blank because that's where they filled in their own, for their own points. And this is out of 10 points, you know. I don't know how you guys grade. Grading's so different. All right, you guys. Now we are going into day 3 and day 4. Day 3, we have our circle maps. I hand them back graded. I make notes. This is what you need to change, whatever. Honestly, my kids get this right all the time. Like, this is not difficult, but it's a good habit that they can find information that pertains to the topic. And I always emphasize, I tell them, you paraphrase. I'm sorry, like, I feel like I'm yelling at you, but I am like teaching you. Sorry, but I tell them, you cannot copy word for word. That is plagiarism. And I tell them all the time, if you do that in college, you get kicked out. That's stealing other people's work. I tell them, you can't copyright, you can't plagiarize, that's illegal. So they put it in their own words, and I had to discuss what that looked like, what that meant. But they get used to it with all this practice. Like, we're practicing throughout the whole year. We are introduced to our flow map, and I'm revamping it. I literally revamped this to write our essay and to see it in this kind of layout. So I will explain what we're doing for day 3. I just want you guys to look at how I have this laid out. I just try to make it very easy to look at, easy to follow, blunt. That's how it goes, and it's flowing. It's a flow map. I actually forgot to draw little arrows right here, but I'll do that because it's flowing into it. And we've worked with sequencing already. I mean, we work with sequencing in 3rd grade. Alrighty, so let's discuss day 3. Day 3, we're working on our flow map. So what I have students do is I give them another blank piece of computer paper. It's just easier for them to keep track of all their stuff. So what I tell them to do is I shine this on the overhead. It's a blank piece of paper. And they are to take their colors out. They all have colors. I give them crayons in the beginning of the year, no excuses. And they are to draw a box on the very top in red, orange. On the back is green, blue, and pink. Because I want them to memorize by colors, like rainbow. Focus on first are our body paragraphs. That's just what I like to focus on first. I mean, you can do whatever order you want. I'm just letting you know what I do. In our orange paragraph, as I showed in the flow map, we need our transitional phrase here. We have worked on transitional phrases since we've done flow maps, since we've done sequence maps, since we've done even narratives. So we work on our transitional phrase here. Orange paragraph we are doing together. And I say, okay, what's a transitional word we can say here? I pull a stick, students answer. Then I always say, I pull a stick and I say, student, what's the first thing we need in our orange paragraph? And they say transitional word. I go, great, write it in. We have our transitional word. Now, student, what do we need next? We have our transitional word, what do we need next? And they go, reason 1. So I'm like, perfect. So what we do now, let me head back over to the circle map. What we do now is students look at their flow map or look at their circle map, and we do orange and green together. So I say, take out your orange. In source 1, I want you to circle Many people demand their meat in orange, and I want you to write R1 there. So we circled that. Many people demand their meat. Again, I'm always constantly reminding them of the prompt. Then I say, take out your green. I want you to circle in source 2. Turkey eggs are twice as large as chicken eggs. Circle that in source 2. We're going to talk about how that does not make a good pet. Then I tell them, all right, take out your blue. On your own, you are choosing your own detail in blue. So what they do is and I constantly remind them of the prompt, and I say, you're gonna circle a detail from source 1 or source 2, and really think about how you can persuade the reader how a turkey would not be a good pet. And one that they should have chosen, like definitely that most of them did, was that they're wild. So that was perfect. That was a really good one. So a lot of students circled they were wild. Some students circled how heavy they are, how fat they are, how large they are. So it varies. As long as they can, you know, persuade me that is legit, then it's legit, right? So then we go, okay, what's the next thing we need? Let me show you an example of one that we actually did. Now this one looks a little different because we revamped it, but I do want to show you, like I did this. So when we do it, R1, hopefully you can see, evidence, example, explain. I added this extra step because I want them to elaborate and explain. I want them to add more writing to their writing. So this is the one we did together. This is it. So we have our transitional word. After I write the reason, I tell my students that they need to do this bracket and write R1. I want them to label the parts of their writing. So that's what they do. I mean, we're doing the orange and green together, but I'm pulling sticks the whole time. So it really is gradual release. I give the idea. We've done this so much that the students know, like it's kind of like teamwork at this point. They're not really listening to me, following me anymore. This is our second writing, and it's, you know, just depending how your class is taking it. So then I pull a stick, I go, okay, we have reason 1. So what do we need next, student? They say, evidence. Great, we need to cite where we got our information from. That is exactly why we cite that on our circle map. And I have a list, I have a poster in my room of a list of different citation wording, I guess, whatever, that they could choose from. So for this one, for example, we chose, according to source 1, paragraph 3, comma. So many people demand their meat, comma, according to source 1, paragraph 3, period. I mean, again, it's gonna like change how you write it. And then they label their site. They label it, and that's their evidence. They label. Then I pull a stick and I say, okay, we have our reason 1, we have our evidence. Now what do we need to do? We need an example. So then we write, for example, and I teach them at this section of the writing that they need to look back in their source, they need to refer where they found the information initially, and they need to find another detail that supports that. So that we write that there, they label, and then this part is explain. I added this one with our second writing. The first writing, it was about, would an astronaut be a cool job? I actually pulled that from the CASP assessment, and it was actually 3rd grade one, because for some reason, why is it so hard to find the practice stuff? I have such a hard time with it, but it's just because, like, I don't know. So I used the 3rd grade one, but whatever, it's the same premise, you know? So then I taught them how to explain is they need to explain it. We do race all the time. They know how to explain, they should know. And for here, we talk about how the turkey is the most popular thing to eat in America during the holidays, which is why many people demand their meat. So it all correlates. We do the same thing with green. And then blue, they are doing 100% on their own. That's why this is blank. They're doing this 100% on their own. They turn this in, I grade this for 10 points. That's just how I grade, I'm just letting you know how I grade. I'm looking to see if they have a transitional word. I'm looking to see if they have their reason 3. I'm looking to see if they have their citation, elaboration, and explanation. I'm looking to see if they have all that. And I was just finding, I had to explain this section better because it was our first time doing it, but I'm sure like the more and more we do it, it's easier, especially with informative writing. It's the same thing as this, you just don't have an opinion. So it's just a little bit of a harder transition from narrative to this, but the students are doing really well with this. Wow, I feel like this video is gonna be super long. All right, that's day 3. I will tell you, day 3 does take the longest, so cut out more of a block for that. It does take longer than any other days. Day 4, day 4, day 4. Day 4, we revisit the prompt, and then we are working on our red paragraph or introductory paragraph, and I do the same thing. I'm like, what is a good way to begin an essay? How can we get the reader's attention? I pull a stick and they say a hook, and I'm like, great, what is a fancy word for hook? What is a really higher academic vocabulary word for hook? And I pull a stick and they say onomatopoeia. Then we do our hook, which goes in here. Then our next thing we need to do is our definition of the topic. So I teach them, this is exactly what I did. I said, okay, I'm gonna give you guys 1 minute, and I want you to look through your sources and find a definition of a turkey that we could use. I give them a minute, I set my timer, minute goes off, and I always tell them, be prepared to share. Sometimes we do that in partners, just depends. Then I pull the stick, I say, student, what did you find? Can you tell me exactly where you found it at? They tell me, I found it in paragraph 1, source 1. Let's use that definition, but of course, we need to paraphrase. So we paraphrase it, and we label it. Then here we have our thesis statement. Now this is a very new term to them. I mean, it really shouldn't be, but maybe they haven't heard it as thesis in 4th grade, but I just tell them it's so easy. You're just listing your reasons. So, and I'm like, it's clearly labeled. So what I do is I pull a stick and I go, student, what's reason number 1? Blah, 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 blah. Write it. Student, what's reason number 2? Blah, 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 blah. Write it. Let me show you an example. That was before I changed it to this format. I like this format so much better because everything's on 1 page. So what I was doing before is doing it like this. See how it's red? And I'm labeling it. Here's our hook. Here's our thesis. And I put a block. I'm like, this is our entire thesis. And they have to start off with, I think a turkey would not make a good pet because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, all there. This way it's gonna be a lot more proficient in my opinion. So we do our intro, then we work on our conclusion in the same day. Because the intro doesn't take that long. So then we work on our conclusion, and they really correlate with each other. Truly, your introduction really correlates with your conclusion. So then for our conclusion, we need our transitional word. Pull a stick, tell me what it is. It's on the board, like there's resources for them to know. That's why I'm so harsh on them too. Like, look on our writing wall. I want them to use the writing wall. Sorry about that. I had a group of kids after flag football come. Like I was saying, pink, they do their transitional word. Then they start off with, I strongly think blank because, and they're really just restating their thesis. And I tell them, you are literally, this example we used, restating your thesis statement, reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. And I have them right on top of their paper. This is the last one. That a thesis is their list of reasons. So then they are to end their essay with a strong statement, with a question. Wow, I never wear my glasses and I know I should, but I literally put them on and I can read everything from my board. Imagine that. So it says end with a strong emotion, statement, or question. So at this point, I have all the students take 1 minute, I time them, maybe a minute and a half, I time them, and they're to write down a good ending to their essay. If they do that, I have them share, and then I write an example on here, just in case they couldn't think of one, and I just wrote my own example. And that's it for day 4. Nothing gets turned in. Day 5. Day 5, I put an assignment on Google Classroom, and I name it Turkey Opinion Writing, Turkey Persuasive Writing. And they need to type their 5 paragraphs, and they color code them. So red is red, orange is orange, and they type them out and turn it back into Google Classroom. After they turn it in, all right, here's a great example. I'm just covering the name. This is the artwork. So after they turn it in, I direct them that they need to ask my teacher assistant for a white piece of blank paper, and they are to create a cover. Now at my current district, we have art grades, and I pull this for an art grade, and they need to create a cover that represents what they wrote about. And I don't want any blank spaces. I want this to be nice and colored. That's kind of why it takes 2 weeks. And then they turn it all in. After they turn it in, my teacher assistant clips it. And in their clip, then it gets turned into me, and this is how I grade it. So in their packet, they have their written and typed paper. They have their flow map, circle maps, and their source page. This is for our astronaut. That gets turned in, and then I grade them on this rubric. I created this on my own. Eventually, when I have my TPT store up, I'm gonna create all this stuff. Like, give me a year, give me after this 5th grade, and I figure out what the heck I'm doing, and I'm gonna create a whole writing thing, I think. Like, why not? Now, I grade them on the student name, and after our first opinion paper, persuasive paper, I passed it back and we looked it over and I discussed. So for their production, I give them points for having all resources. Writing covers complete, turned in on time. I cannot tell you how many students, like not that many, but some just don't turn in on time. And no, you're losing points because you're not staying focused, like this camera. Then for production, I grade them on if their paper is typed. If it's 1 page, I tell them it has to be 1 page. If you're writing too big of font, if your font's too large, you're getting points taken off. And then with proper indents and spaces. Then I leave a little spot for notes, and I always like leave notes if I need to. I give points for grammar, and then this big chunk. So remember how I said that the blue paragraph is on their own? They're doing it on their own. That's what I grade them on, because that's all on their own. We do all this we do work, and now I'm assessing them to see if they listen during the lesson and they can apply. So in their blue paragraph, and I put parentheses, paragraph 4, they need to have a transitional phrase. They need to have a reason 3. They need to have a citation. They need to elaborate and explain. And then I have notes and our total down here. This gets turned in on top, and then this is their grade, and it's a project grade, and it takes us 2 weeks to do this, and we do 2 a month. Guys, I hope you liked that lesson of my writing. I'm gonna do another one when I teach information. Sorry. You know what I try to explain to people that aren't teachers? I literally say, you know, after school, my brain turns off and I'm done. I'm literally done thinking, and I don't care. Like, because my brain is working all day long for 6 hours, and once the bell rings and I have some time to myself, my mouth doesn't work and my brain doesn't work to my mouth, and that's just how it is. And I literally just have a question mark on my face, on my head, every day after school, but that's fine. I wish I was kidding, but I'm truly not. All right, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please share this video if it was helpful. Please like the video if it was helpful. Please let me know in the description box. Please let me know in the comments if this was helpful. I want to make my TPT store to put these resources on. It's just I'm planning a wedding right now, and there's a lot going on. So I definitely will this summer. But thank you guys so much. I'll create a writing pack, I'm pretty sure. But thank you guys so much for watching my channel. Please share if you like I said 20 times. Please subscribe. It helps me out. It helps me reach more teachers. And just thank you guys so much. Check out some of my other videos. I love lesson design. I love sharing my lessons. And I will catch you guys in my next video. Does anyone else like not wear their glasses and then you put them on and you can just see everything and it's amazing, but it gives you a headache? That's why I don't wear my glasses, because it gives me a headache. And I'm just like, I'll just take them off then. But then I don't see as good. Man, struggle of life, you know?